Let us now turn our attention towards a really interesting and a very important topic: factors that are critical to organizational change. Now, we know that change in an organization doesn't just happen randomly. It is not that one fine day you woke up and there is change. No, it doesn't happen like that. It is usually triggered by a set of factors. Could be economic shifts or a new technology coming in. Maybe your customers' needs have changed. There is a new government policy or a global trend. And of course, maybe decisions made by the top management. Think of it like this. If the market can be thought about as a cricket match, then organizations are like the players in that match. They have to adapt quickly based on how the game is going. Right? If the pitch is bouncy, then you have to adjust your technique accordingly. Same with the companies also. They have to adjust their structure, culture, and strategy based on what is happening around them. Speaking of economic changes, let us look at the big revolutions that shaped how businesses operate. The first one was the Industrial Revolution. Remember steam engines, factories, steam power, people moving to cities from villages? That was the very first change that shook or shaped how businesses operate. And it was that time that the classical approaches to organization and management started coming up, right? Then, then came electricity and mass production and the age of assembly lines, right? And after that, it was technology, computers, satellites, international phone calls, the ones that used to happen before WhatsApp, that. Then came the digital revolution. We had the World Wide Web, the internet, we have smartphones, we started having social media, WhatsApp. Suddenly, companies had to market themselves online and go global. And now we are in Industry 4.0, the age of Internet of Things, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning. Machines are now smart, data is gold, and everything is connected. These revolutions didn't simply change the technology, but rather they have transformed entire business models, right? And now AI is doing another big shuffle now. Right. AI has caught us by the collar and it is shuffling us, and things are going to get drastically changed. We can see a lot of changes happening to the way we work, the way companies work, how businesses operate in within the next few years or few months even. Right. Now let us talk about something that is a little bit more internal as a factor of change. That is the axis of change. The axis of change. No, this is not some physics concept. Don't think about the Earth's axis or anything. This just means that the central element that this just means the central element that drives change. And who often is that central element, that axis that drives the change? CEO, the top management. Usually the change is from there. They are the ones who sets the vision for the company, builds the strategy, and inspires the team to move in a new direction. Have you ever noticed how a new principal in a college can suddenly make things strict or relaxed or maybe even more digital? It is the same with the CEOs. They drive the tone and the pace of change that is happening in an organization. But of course, CEOs don't work in isolation. For companies to adapt well, they need certain traits like strong leadership, employee engagement, flexibility, and a love for learning. The best companies are like good cricket captains. They motivate the team, they are open for change, they try new strategies and learn from failure. They innovate, they take smart risks and put the customers at the center of their strategy. Now, let us look at how models of change have evolved. In the early days, organizations were seen as machines, and we humans, the employees, were just another part of a machine. Everything was about efficiency. There were strict rules, and following rules was of ultimate importance. And that is the classical model of change. It was a very mechanistic model. But later, people realized that, hey, Humans are not machines. I'm not a machine. You're not a machine. And that led to the participative model. It was a bit more organic model. Here, employees became part of the decision make for process. And then, fast forward today, we have the contemporary models. They are networked, they are agile. Here, companies are seen as flexible networks. There is agility, there is collaboration, and also a focus on innovation. You can think of it as moving from the good old post office style of communication to the Google Office style. Now, humanistic philosophy. This is a very interesting part. Back in the 1930s, the famous Hawthorne studies. You remember Hawthorne studies? I hope you do. It showed that when employees felt cared for, they were performing better. And that kicked off a whole movement where companies started focusing on people, not just for no, and not just on profits. This approach believes that employees are not simply another resource. They are humans with emotions, ideas, and dreams. And when you make your people happy, your organization is more likely to succeed. This philosophy paved the way for something known as organizational development, OD. It is a structured, people first approach to change organizational development. It is not just about restructuring or changing job titles, but it is all about improving communication, encouraging teamwork, and building trust. Also, creating a positive culture as well. Basically, OD helps organizations become healthier and more adaptable. And to make all of this happen smoothly, we will need to understand facilitating planned change. This means we have to guide the change process in a very thoughtful step by step manner, almost like planning a wedding. You remember planned change in unit 2 while we were talking about the various types of change? We talked about planned change. That is what we are talking about here. You don't just show up and put forth some rules and you hope that everything works. No, that is not how it happens. You will have to plan it out, involve the right people, adapt if there is a problem, and make sure everyone is on board with this change. That is how you reduce resistance and increase the chances of success while you are implementing that change. Now, before we wrap up this unit, let us touch on two interesting models: rational and natural system models of change. The rational model treats organizations like machines. You plan, you control, and things will run according to a blueprint. The natural system model, however, sees the organizations more like a living organism, like a organic way. They grow, they adapt, and they will change naturally over time. Most real world organizations have a mix of both. For example, let's say an IT company, they may have strict rules for data security, like that is the rational part of it. But still, they might encourage creative brainstorming. That is natural part of it. So, to sum it all up, organizational change is not a one size fits all process, and it is influenced by external factors like economics and technology, and also internal ones like leadership, company culture, employee involvement, and the like. And to manage it well, we need structured models, a human touch, and most importantly, a mindset that sees change not as a threat but as an opportunity. That is all for this video. I hope I will see you again in another one. Until then, happy learning.